Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right? You know, you're counting the calories, you're hitting the gym, but you're just not seeing the results you want? Well, you are definitely not alone. It turns out we've kind of been fed a story about nutrition, a story that's really convenient for the food industry, but pretty devastating for our health. So in this explainer, we're going to unravel this whole confusing world of nutrition and expose the massive myths about sugar that have been holding us back for decades. All right, let's just jump right in with the biggest question of all, the one we've all had drilled into our heads. You know the one, calories in, calories out. It's supposed to be simple energy balance. Eat more than you burn, you gain weight. Burn more than you eat, you lose it. But what if that whole idea, the very foundation of modern dieting, is just completely wrong? To guide us through this nutritional maze, we're diving into the incredible work of Dr. Robert Lustig. First, we're going to totally dismantle that calorie is a calorie myth. Then, we'll look at the two molecules in sugar, glucose and fructose, and see why your body treats one like a friend and the other like a serious foe. We'll uncover the real reason sugar is in practically everything, and then, most importantly, we'll wrap up with a simple, powerful solution. So the food industry absolutely loves the idea that a calorie is a calorie. I mean, it's their get-out-of-jail-free card, right? It lets them sell us all this ultra-processed junk and then point the finger back at us, saying, oh, just eat less and exercise more. But what does the science actually say? Well, it tells a completely different story. It tells us that the type of calorie is what really truly matters. Dr. Lustig just nails it with this quote. See, burning a calorie, that's simple physics. It's a unit of heat. That part's true. But eating a calorie, oh, that's complex biology. And this is where it all gets so interesting. Your body just doesn't treat 100 calories of almonds the same way it treats 100 calories from a can of soda. Not even close. The source changes everything.
Let's start with a fantastic example. Almonds. You grab a handful, the label says 160 calories. So you eat them, thinking you just consumed 160 calories. But here's the thing. You don't actually get all 160. Because of all that amazing fiber, about 30 of those calories escape digestion. They travel down to your large intestine where they literally become food for your good gut bacteria. So you ate 160, but your body only ever saw about 130.
And what's really cool is this idea of a processing tax for different foods. Take protein. Your body has to work way harder to break down the amino acids in a steak than it does for, say, carbs. This is called the thermic effect of food, and for protein, that tax is a whopping 25%. You are literally burning a chunk of the calories just to digest the food itself. And this slide just perfectly illustrates the point with fats. In a lab, sure, a gram of omega-3 fat and a gram of trans fat are both 9 calories. But inside your body, it is night and day. Omega-3s are anti-inflammatory, they're essential for your brain. Trans fats, they're a man-made poison that can cause metabolic disease. One is literally life-saving, the other is life-taking. So is a calorie? No way. It's just not that simple. So if the source matters that much, let's zoom in on the most common source of calories in the modern diet, sugar. Now, regular table sugar is actually made of two smaller sugars stuck together, glucose and fructose. We're going to start with glucose. Let's call it the good twin, the one that is quite literally the energy of life. Every single cell on this planet, from the tiniest bacteria all the way up to you and me, can use glucose for energy. It's so fundamental that if you stop eating carbs, your liver actually has a backup plan. It's called gluconeogenesis to make the glucose your brain needs to keep running. It is absolutely essential. We need it to live. Now, when you eat glucose, your body has this really sophisticated system to handle it. Your blood sugar goes up, and your pancreas releases a hormone called insulin to help shuttle that energy into your cells. This is totally normal. But our ultra-processed, high-sugar diet sends this system into complete overdrive, causing these massive, constant insulin spikes. And as Dr. Lustig argues, it's this chronic high insulin that might just be the real villain, driving so many of our modern diseases. Okay, so let's move on to the other half of that sugar molecule, fructose. This is the stuff that makes things taste sweet. And if glucose is the hero of our story, well, fructose is the clear villain. It's the one we crave, and it's the one the food industry uses to get us completely hooked. And this slide right here shows the crucial difference. While pretty much every cell in your body welcomes glucose with open arms, virtually no cell has any use for fructose. And while glucose gets used all over your body, almost all the fructose you eat gets dumped straight onto your liver. This creates this huge metabolic burden. one that's remarkably similar to how our body processes alcohol. So what is actually happening inside that overworked liver? Well, think of your liver cells like a busy factory. Fructose comes in like a saboteur, just throwing wrenches into the machinery. It jams up the cell's fuel gauge so it doesn't know when to burn energy, it clogs up the fat-burning assembly line, and the end result? Your cellular engines get totally gummed up and your body's ability to produce energy just gets tanked.
And the damage isn't just in the liver. Oh no, fructose wreaks havoc on your gut too. It damages the delicate lining of your intestine, which allows toxins and bacteria to actually leak into your bloodstream where they absolutely do not belong. This triggers a massive, body-wide inflammatory response, the kind of chronic, low-grade fire that can leave you feeling tired, achy, and just generally unwell.
So what's the real-world cost of all this metabolic chaos? It often leads to something called metabolic syndrome. Now, this isn't one specific disease, but a cluster of really dangerous conditions, like high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and that stubborn fat around your waist. And get this, if you develop it, the data suggests you pay a staggering 20-year longevity tax. It is literally shortening your life. So you have to ask yourself, right? If this stuff is so clearly damaging, why on earth is it in everything we eat? The answer is pretty sobering, and it takes us out of the lab and straight into the corporate boardroom. It's time to look at the food industry's playbook. Okay, brace yourself for this number. A staggering 73% of all the items in a typical American grocery store contain added sugar. I mean, think about that. That's not an accident. That sugar didn't just stumble into your bread, or your salad dressing, or your pasta sauce by chance. No way. It was deliberately put there.
And here's the kicker. The main reason isn't even for taste. It's because fructose hijacks the reward pathway in your brain in the exact same way as addictive drugs like cocaine. It gives you a little dopamine hit that makes you feel good. But over time, your brain adapts, and it needs more and more to get that same reward. The food industry knows this. When they add sugar, we eat more, we buy more, and their profits soar. So next time you hear the food industry talking about personal responsibility and making balanced choices, just remember where that line came from. As Dr. Lustig points out, that entire argument was invented by the tobacco industry to shift the blame for lung cancer away from their addictive products and onto their customers. It's the exact same playbook, just a different product.
Okay, so the science is clear and the system is pretty much rigged. And yeah, that can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't mean we're helpless. Far from it. In this last section, we're going to arm you with clear, powerful science-backed principles for how you can protect yourself and take back control of your health.
One of the best tools we have is a system called NOVA. Instead of getting bogged down counting every calorie or gram of fat, NOVA classifies food by how much it's been industrially processed. And the science here is overwhelmingly clear. It's the foods in class 4, the ultra-processed stuff, that are consistently and strongly linked with chronic disease. The problem isn't just one ingredient, it's the processing itself.
So the crucial thing is knowing how to navigate all this. Dr. Lustig boils down all this complex science into 3 just beautifully simple principles. First, protect your liver. That means cutting way back on the 2 things that tax it the most, added sugar and alcohol. Second, feed your gut. Give your microbiome what it loves, lots and lots of fiber. And third, support your brain with healthy anti-inflammatory fats like omega-3s.
So what can you do starting today? Here's your action plan. First, and this is the big one, just eat real food. A great rule of thumb is if it comes in a crinkly package with a list of ingredients you can't pronounce, it's probably not real food. Second, make fiber your absolute best friend. Think of it like your body's built-in defense system. It slows down sugar absorption and it feeds your good gut bacteria. Next, become a label detective. Ignore the marketing on the front, go straight to that nutrition panel. Look for added sugars and try to get as close to 0 as you can. And finally, a really important one. Whole fruit is great. The fiber that nature packaged with the sugar protects you. But fruit juice, not your friend. It's basically soda with a better publicist.
We'll end on this final, pretty provocative thought. Dr. Lustig makes the argument that if a substance is chronically consumed and it doesn't support the body's health, it's not really food, it's poison. So if over 2/3 of the items on our supermarket shelves are actively making us sick, what does that really leave? And more importantly, what choice will you make next time you walk down those aisles?